friendship that'll never ever end.
We all know that the Firefly Fun House contains references to pop culture, it contains hidden messages, Easter eggs, and that's why I love making theory videos talking about it. It's really fun to dive into the mind of Bray Wyatt and his creative genius and see where it takes us. That reference will be clear very soon. Now, of course, this theory video I'm really interested in making because it's not something other people are talking about, and it dives into the origins of the Funhouse. Now, one of the most commonly accepted theories has always been that the Funhouse is located within the mind of Bray Wyatt himself. Of course, that theory was kind of shattered a while ago when Seth Rollins invaded the Funhouse and burned it down. I know, it was a sad day, but what if there was a way for Seth Rollins to travel into the mind space of Bray Wyatt? Now, we got to look at pop culture and references. Once again, from that, we go to a television show called The 100. Now, I'm a huge fan of The 100. I've seen all 6 seasons. I thoroughly have enjoyed every single episode. Now, season 6 was actually a season I completely missed. In 2018, I had a lot of personal stuff going on. But I recently went out and bought the DVD box set so I could catch up and watch the season 6. Now, when I was watching this, there was one episode that stood out to me completely, and it had so many Funhouse references. And it was season 6, episode 5, titled Nevermind, just in case you want to go and watch it. Now, I won't bore you if you don't know what the 100 is with the details of the show, but in the show, there is this microchip, and this microchip is referred to as a flame. It's referred to as other things as well, but it's basically implanted into a person's brain in the back of their head, and it traps memories, thoughts, feelings, life experiences of its host. When it's then transferred to a new person, those travel along with it, giving the person knowledge beyond their years. Now, when they go to a new planet, they basically encounter humans who are already living there. Now, the main character of the 100 is Clark. And when Clark is on this new planet, she is basically abducted. She is basically mind wiped, I think they called it. And then when her mind is wiped, the flame is put inside of her. Why? Because then the host of the flame takes over control of the body, rather than the flame being knowledge for the living host. Does that make sense? Well, okay, so we got Clark, and she's now got this essence inside of her. This essence was called Josephine. Josephine took on the exact same likeness as Clark, because the body is the same. Making sense still? I hope so. I really hope so. But inside the mind, Clark survived. The mind wiped failed. And she was trapped in a little corner of her brain called her mind space. Now, this is a picture of her inside her mind space. And you can see the walls here are decorated with pictures. And this is basically her memories. And inside Clark's mind space, she can actually summon anything she wants. Anything she thinks of will literally appear in front of her. She had conversations with her long dead dad. She had an old friend Monty come back and was talking to her and helped her escape her mind space. That's interesting. Now, of course, Josephine is actually inside the mind as well. And that is what Josephine actually looks like. She doesn't look like Clark at all. This was her physical body, but in the mind space, she still looks the same. Now, what I love about this is that Josephine isn't in Clark's mind space. Instead, Clark's in like a small little corner of it. Josephine controls the body, therefore she controls the mind. Now, I know that might be a bit complicated, especially if you've never followed the 100, but I really would appreciate it before we get into the nitty-gritty of the details and why I think it's a reference to the Funhouse. I'd like you to like the video. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 20,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy. And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. You guys have the best references and theories. If you're a fan of the 100, you may see something I miss. Now, obviously, looking in the Funhouse, the first thing you notice are the pictures on the wall. Now, that may not be important, but what if they are, and they are, memories of Bray Wyatt's past? Exactly like Clark's mind space. Now, some people will be screaming, but he can't be in his mind. We've seen Funhouse Bray in the ring at TLC against The Miz. Well, actually, the 100 explained that as well. Clark and Josephine, in the end, sort of became friends. Kind of. Like, Josephine was trying to kill Clark because she wanted to take over control of her body. But, in the end, she gave Clark back control. And Josephine became the one trapped in a corner of the mind, while Clark completely took over her body again. All it took was Josephine doing that. So, there's nothing to actually say that maybe the Fiend didn't allow Bray Wyatt to have control back of his body for a night so he could go and wrestle The Miz. It would make perfect sense. It gives a perfect explanation as to why and how Bray Wyatt was able to come out of the Firefly Fun House after we've seen him in there for so long. Now, again, I did say about Seth Rollins going inside the Fun House. Now, what if on that dreadful day when Seth burnt down the Fun House, Seth never actually went into the Funhouse? Instead, it was all in the imagination of Bray Wyatt. Remember, Bray's plan here was to turn Seth Rollins heel. What better way to do it than have Seth destroy the Funhouse, something we love? Of course we're going to boo Seth Rollins after that. Of course we will. And look at Seth Rollins now. He's one of the biggest heels in the company with his whole faction. He's the Monday Night Messiah. He's got Buddy Murphy. He's got the AOP. It worked. And it explains something we've seen in the past, the toy box. Bray Wyatt just pulling random things out of the toy box before finally revealing the Universal Championship. New style of blue, but literally anything could come out of that box because it's all his imagination. And then it literally explains Ramblin' Rabbit as well. Poor Ramblin' Rabbit, everyone's favourite puppet, literally dies so many times, but every single time he comes back to life. And why? Because Bray Wyatt thinks Ramblin' Rabbit's there, so the imagination allows him to create a new one. And look at how he uses Ramblin' Rabbit. When Ramblin' Rabbit was talking to Daniel Bryan, it was all about how to beat the Fiend, and it got Daniel Bryan interested. It's all mind games. I really, really like this theory for these reasons. It literally explains so much. And not only Ramblin' Rabbit, but all the other puppets as well. Of course, Abby the Witch is the imagination of Sister Abigail. It's literally what Bray Wyatt envisions Sister Abigail to be, this authoritarian figure. Huskus the Pig Boy is the imagination of Husky Harris, where Bray Wyatt nearly got fired. Mercy the Buzzard, he's literally the embodiment of a buzzard. He's literally pecking at the bones of every one of his victims. Now, remember that when we saw the puppets backstage, the superstars didn't see them because all they were was a projection of an imagination of Bray Wyatt. Maybe they were meant to be inside our imaginations. We saw this picture earlier of Josephine. Now, this is inside Clark's mind space. You can see over her right shoulder is a door. And, okay, yeah, you're probably thinking, see, it's just a door, it doesn't mean anything. But it kind of does, because Clark had to let her in through the door. She couldn't just walk through the door. Clark had to allow her to come in. And once that permission was granted, she was taken over. Now, of course, the Funhouse has a door. The original set of the Firefly Funhouse has a door. Rumours are it's only now not used because this set would be far too expensive for WWE to set up backstage when they travel around the world. And I completely understand that. The blue walls, you can kind of kayfabe say that the door is still there. But what is behind the door has never been revealed. And yet it would reveal where the Funhouse is located. Now, something we've never seen is the Fiend inside the Funhouse. We've never seen the Firefly Funhouse start with the Fiend inside. We've never seen the Fiend with the puppets. We've seen the Fiend in the Funhouse, but only glimpses as Bray transformed into the Fiend at the very end of the original episodes. And then you got the reference, let me in. It's literally what you would want to be if you're on the other side of the door. If you're trying to take over someone's mind and you got to get through the door to do it, you would want to be let in. Maybe, because every single time that Bray Wyatt says, let me in, you watch his facial expressions, you watch the body language change. He becomes very dark, very eerie. Maybe let me in allows the Fiend through that door. Maybe it allows him to take over the mind and the body of Bray Wyatt. Therefore, the Fiend is in control. I absolutely think that could be legit. Now, I'm not thinking for 1 minute that Bray Wyatt has like a microchip in the back of his head which contains the Fiend and the Fiend has taken over Bray. Although it's possible, I don't think that's the likely outcome. I think you could go down the spiritual route of the Fiend being a presence that has taken over Bray Wyatt. And this episode of the 100 kind of does explain quite a few things when you reference them against stuff we've seen on the Firefly Fun House. Now, if you go and check out that episode and you see things that I might have missed, put them in the comments section down below. Of course, let me know what you think of this theory video down there as well. Like the video, it really does help it rank up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. More importantly than that, share the video so your friends can find it and have their say. As always, I'll see you next time. Peace!